Good evening. How everyone doing today? God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Simon J. Spears around. Let me give you a word on today. Saul is growing fear David, but he's still gonna want David near him. And that's how it be sometimes. Sometimes they're gonna be afraid of you, but still want to be near you to watch you. So Samuel, First Samuel 18, 1 through 30. So after David, had finished talking with Saul, Jonathan became one in spirit, with David, and he loved him as himself. Because you see, David and Jonathan gonna make a covenant of themselves. He gonna love David more than his father. Every time his father, Saul gonna want to try to kill David, Jonathan gonna let David know. So they gonna be real close friends even after that. But we're gonna do a story on that too. When Jonathan and his father get killed, his son gonna still be alive. And David gonna be the one to take him in and make him rich. Still because the love of Jonathan. So we see the friendship between David and Jonathan. And a conflict, that arise, between him and his father. So Saul kept David, and he did not return home to his father. So he gonna keep David. He wants to keep David real close. Not only into his favor, and into his service, but into his court. Even on that very day, he saw the fear sign. However, as soon as it could be done, Saul watched David. When he had beat that knocked that giant down, Saul watched everything around, and he still didn't know that David had been anointed. He still don't know, but he watching a close eye on David. And Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. Now this is a covenant of a friendship, enter into agreement, to keep up and maintain respect. They're gonna have very respect for one another. Now to each other, and to support each other. The interest both in life. So David had a friend at court, and when Saul had fell out with him, and who pleaded his cause and discovered his father plot, Jonathan. And it was the mean of preserving David's life. So Jonathan helped preserve David's life. Anytime his father kept coming out with a plot, he'll go let David know. And he'll tell David, you stay here, until the coast is clear. I'm going to go talk to my father. That's how close that friendship was. So Jonathan had took off the robe that he was wearing, and he give it to David. He give it to David along with his time, and even his sword, and how in his belt. So Jonathan had all that stuff on. David don't like to wear all that stuff. But when David and Jonathan met, they became close friends at once. And their friendship is one of the deepest and closest recorded. So they based their friendship on commitment, to God, not just each other. So they ain't based their own friendship just on themselves, on God too. David was close with God. So they still based their commitment on God and each other. So they let nothing, come between them. Not even a career, a family, a problem. That's a friend for you. Anytime nothing don't come between it, that was a good friend. So later on, Jonathan realized that David and not him would be the next king. Because Saul the king, and God not chosen none of Saul's children. Because God already know what's going to happen at the end. See, God already know the beginning to the end. He know Jonathan's going to depart right along with his father. So that's why he not having none of his children, be the king. That's why he picked David. See, God know our future. He know the end of our future. He know the beginning to the end. So Jonathan realized that he would not be the king after his father. But it did not weaken, his love for David. Even though he found out, that David, gonna be the next king, he still didn't tell Saul. And that still did not come between their friendship, but it did not weaken their love for each other. Jonathan would much rather lose the throne than their friendship. Now that's a friend for you. He ain't worrying about the throne. He said the friendship is more important than the throne. So Jonathan, so Israel didn't, they lost his closest friend. Now we see, how strong their friendship is. Now this is a real strong friendship. Now whatever mention, Saul had sent him on, David was so successful, that Saul had given him a high rank, in the army. Now this pleased all the true and Saul officers as well, because see, David was good. And also he gave him a high rank, to take care of everything. But he thought David was going to fail. See, everything that Saul had tried to do for David might sound good, but it always applied behind it. He wanted him, he thought sure David was going to be successful. He thought David was going to die in the process of dealing with all the people and going out to battle. All that was supplied. And it was not a good thing on Saul's behalf. So about any business, now he gave him, he made him charge over the truth, and so any business, whatsoever, especially about the affair for which he was abundantly qualified, because with God, with David. So no matter what kind of high rank, Saul tried to give him. And he think David was gonna fail. He's not gonna fail. Because everything David do, everything David touch, he will be successful. But because God told him that at the beginning when God anointed him. He said everything you do, everything you touch, you will be successful because you got God with you. So when the men were returning home after David and killed the Philistine, the women came from all the hiding spots they was hiding at in Israel to meet the king Saul with singing and dancing, with joyful songs and with timbrels and lyrics. So this was right after, David had beat that big giant. It was the same giant that the Israelite ancestors was afraid of. They was too afraid to even walk into their own promised land. So now they see that David had knocked this giant down. They all came out their hiding spot. And guess what? They saw singing and dancing when they saw David. So it came to pass as it came when David, returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the women came out of their cities, out of their hiding spot, in Israel, and they sang to David. So as they dance, they sing and they dance. So now both have skills. They both have skills in the field. You remember when Saul first saw the change. Remember we just read the story when Saul first got in the picture. He was good in the field with the animal. Remember he was with the donkey, and remember he was when Samuel was like, well, he just an ordinary boy. He didn't know anything. Now he have this high position that God get him, and he just like a whole nother person. And David also have skills in the field. You remember when they went to anoint him, he was already in the field, fooling around with chasing the sheep and stuff. He already said he could tell a lion and a bear, with his own hands. So they both have skills in the field, but this where they're gonna come at. When Saul gonna start being jealous of David, because Saul always would come back with 1,000, but now he done met his match, David gonna come back with more. And that's when the jealousy first gonna start out. How good David is, and he always gonna be successful whatever he do. So Saul was very angry. Wait, now both have skills. Saul they went in the field, like Saul always do, but now he got a partner going with him now. He went in the field, he slayed by 1,000. That's normally for Saul to always do every day. But David went in the field with him also. But David slayed 10,000. That was way more than what Saul did. So Saul was very angry. So Saul gonna take this as competition. Every time he look around, he gonna try to beat David in something. So this refrain displeased him greatly. So they had become credited. They credited David. All the Israelite right there. To credit. Remember, they just got through singing and singing and dancing for David. So David come back with 10,000. So then, you got the Israelites that credited David, they hallelujah him, with 10,000, and he thought, but with owning 1,000, David had 10,000 and Saul had, 1,000, and what more can it get but the kingdom? So Saul had started being jealous of David, because and sometimes other people can lit the fire too. Bad enough. Saul, looking side-eyed. Okay, you come back with 10,000. Got everybody hype up. So everybody, all the people, they was boosting it up too. Oh, then we got David come back with 10,000. Because sometimes other people can flame the fire and make you more angry than what you was. So the people began to applaud David. And Saul had started being jealous, started getting enraged. Attempted to murder David by luring him his spear into him. So Saul just started thinking evil. Because he got the evil spirit in him. They applauding David. Congratulations. So then, Saul just standing up there just looking all evil and angry. In his mind, he just thinking about murdering David. Taking the spear and just putting it through him. So from that time on, Saul kept a close eye on David. And that's how it be. Like I said yesterday, sometimes you can have your worst enemy right under you. Because they like to be right close to you to see whatever move you make. He wants to see every move David make. So he gonna keep a close eye on David. So the next day, an evil spirit, because see, he messing with David. God got a plan for David, like, something that Saul don't know about right now. So, he got in his mind murdering David. God can read your mind. God can still hear and see everything. So he messing with the wrong person. So now, the evil spirit coming up, came falsely on Saul. Now he was prophesizing in his own house while David was playing the lyrics. So as he usually did, Saul had a spear in his hand, lured it. Remember, he had this evil thought in his mind. Every time that evil spirit come on him, he wants to think evil or what he want to do to David. And he's saying to himself. Now God can still listen. He's saying it to himself. I pinned David to the wall. And that's what he said. That's what he had in his mind. He said, I pinned David to the wall. But David enlarged him twice. David always abhorred him and keep on trying to go another direction. David can hurt some. David love and respects some. David don't want to hurt some. And David already know that's the king over God people. So it was stated that another evil spirit from God, so recognize that God is control over everything. Now this evil spirit may find a place within Saul. Now simply because he had ignored God's order. And every time an evil spirit come upon him, he always wants to, think about doing harm to David. So David don't have nothing to do with the evil spirit getting on him. But every time it get on him, he get mad. He just thinking of it, just sitting up there, just thinking about evil stuff. What he gonna do to David? I just feel like pinning you against the wall. I just feel like putting this wall against through your body. So David don't know this, but David probably can see him just standing up there, just looking at him with an evil mind. And every evil mind, God can still listen. So Saul increasing awareness that his disobedience had caused God his extreme turn, characteristic by an evil spirit. Now he realized, this evil spirit coming on him. He realized, God is doing this because he disobeyed his order. God said wipe out all the people in the land. He still saved a family. When God didn't tell him to save no family, he saved the king. And he said, well, I thought you want me to bring the king back to you. God didn't say that. So now Saul was afraid. He's still trying to figure David out. So now Saul, he is afraid of David. Because he realized the Lord was with David. He realized the Lord is with David. Because every time he tried, I need to go to take 1,000, go to the troop, go to battle, and he think David going to get hurt. Then David come back and did every order he tried to set out for David. David succeed in every evil order that he keep on trying to set out on David. He keep on trying to harm David or either have David dead. And David got God with him, and he gonna be successful every time. So he realized that God is with David. So Saul had tried to kill David. Because he was jealous of David. He tried all kind of ways. But yet David continued to protect. He tried to kill David, but David keep on trying to protect Saul. That's just the kind of person David is, because anytime David can break an animal neck in half, what you think he can do to Saul? He don't want to hurt Saul. He trying to protect Saul, and comfort Saul. He trying to comfort Saul. You remember Saul needed David. Because every time the evil spirit come on him, David singing and dancing and playing that music, and the spirit go away. So he needs David at this time. Now sometimes you may be under someone, but it'll be good for you to just be like David. Sometimes you could be right under someone that just constantly, jealous you, envy you, or everything you do, but David still is good to Saul. He still is good to Saul. He still does Saul, loves Saul, to keep from hurting Saul. Now, David is under Saul, but he is good. He is good whatever he do, with God on his side. So what makes Saul jealous? What makes Saul jealous? Also the people was raising that David, came back with 10,000. They was raising up the vibe. David came back with 10,000 and Saul 1,000. So David had the strength of God. You remember when he went to fight that giant? He went out there on his own strength. He went out there having confidence in God. Cause he's the boy. In his own strength, he cannot beat that giant. So we have to realize in our battle. I say it to myself all the time that I'm still here because of the grace of God. That's what we have to do all the time. We have to realize we still here because of God. I beat that battle because of God. We can't take credit of that, because David was a little boy. He knew he couldn't beat that big giant, but he went out there with confidence. Confidence in God. That God gonna help him beat this giant. So remember, had Saul with David. Saul with David. He took that giant down. And because he had confidence in God, Saul had started coming, Saul, so Saul was watching the whole thing. He watching every move that David do. So Saul to strike back. So he coming to make Saul coming to strike back. The person that David are, he evolved. He evolved Saul at every change. He evolved Saul at every change. But David asked God for the strength to continue to love him. Because anybody else, you'll start hating that person. Every time you look around, they think it evil to try and harm you, but you still right under that person. So David had to keep on avoiding Saul, because it came to a point he had to ask God, give me strength to keep on loving this man here. Because I'm trying not to even hurt this man here. But God, give me the strength to keep on loving this person. Because sometimes you got to keep asking God, give you strength to keep loving somebody that keep on wants to harm you. And then Saul don't want to let David go. He wants to keep David right under him. So David had to pray to God to give him the strength to keep loving this man, to keep on wanting to cause him harm, that wants to just paint him on the wall and do all kind of stuff to him. So we see that no matter what Saul do, David keep on loving Saul. You have to pray to God for it. He has to pray, because it's hard to keep on loving someone that keep on wants to kill you. He wants to harm you. So in Saul madness, he think if he give David a command, over 1,000 men, and led the troop into the champion, he think David cannot handle. See, he keep on trying to find ways for David to go out there and get killed. He see how David worked. So he keep on. He said, be over 1,000 men. Take 1,000 troops. And you go out there. Go out there and fight a battle way more than 1,000. So he trying to give them less men to go out there and fight a battle with troops. And in Saul's mind, he thinking David not coming back. He can't handle that job. David is not coming back. So that's what he did. He keep on finding ways to get David hurt. But everything he did, he is great and successful, because the Lord was with David. No matter how, Saul keep on trying to hurt David. No matter how, Saul keep on trying to plot against David. David got God with him. God got a plan for David. So God gonna save David every chance he get until David walk into his purpose. So because the Lord was with David, and when Saul saw how successful he was afraid of David. He was afraid of David. So now Saul sees the successful of David. And on top of it, all the Israel keep on loving David. Every good thing that David constantly keep on doing, is pleasing the Israelite. And because he led them in their own campaign. So now Saul is afraid of David, and now he wants to give his order, his oldest daughter, to David. So now, he afraid of David, but he wants to give his daughter to his oldest daughter to David. He wants to keep David in a family and keep him close as possible to him. So now he wants to give his oldest daughter. Now I will give my oldest daughter in marriage to you. Only serve me bravely and fight the battles of the Lord. So now Saul is giving his oldest daughter to David, and he also said he will not raise a hand against David. Now he's not telling the truth on that, because he's gonna keep on trying to harm David, keep on running behind David. So let the Philistine do that. Now see, that's what the thing is. He wants to give his daughter to David, thinking the Philistine gonna come against David. So now David don't think, he good enough. So David think he's not good enough to be a king, or to be the king's son-in-law. Who am I? He turned him down the first time. He don't want, he turned him down. So the entire nation praised David, and he succeeded in almost everything he does. He became famous throughout the land. He refused to use his happiness to his advantage against Saul. Now Saul was jealous, so when David, around Saul, he tried to keep it, his happiness to himself. And that's how some people is. He know what he's dealing with. Saul is a jealous person. And he see the Israelite, they praising him, they loving him. He is greatness all over the land now. His name is getting around now. But when he laughing and celebrating with the Israelite, but when Saul come around, he get quiet. He want to keep his happiness and everything, to himself because he know how Saul is. And sometimes, some people be around somebody, what happen is, you get great things happen to you, but sometimes you keep your greatness and your happiness to yourself, because sometimes some people, it's not happy for you, and sometimes you'll try to keep that, like you get up on motion, and the next person, and sometimes a person can be in high position over you, like Saul. Saul over David. David is under Saul. For some reason, he's still jealous of David. But when David around Saul, he had to keep the limit like they're on the same level. Keep his happiness to himself because Saul get into his rage and to try to find ways to get back at David. So David was the center of the stage and not Saul. See, the Israelites, they always want to be around David. So when the time came to take Saul's daughter in marriage, but Saul had found out that his other daughter, Malika, loved David. See, there's no love in his other daughters that try to put on David. David don't love the oldest daughter. The oldest daughter don't love him. So David turned that down. So now his other daughter, Malika, she loved David. So then, Saul gonna come at him a second time. So he loved David. She loved David. So when Saul heard this, he was pleased. So he would give her to him. So he think the Philistine may come against David. By him giving his daughter to David, he think the Philistine gonna come against David. So he wants somebody to hurt David. He wants somebody to hurt David. So remember, David had turned him down the first time. His oldest daughter. There was no love in that. So now this time, his other daughter, Monica, she loved David. And Saul said, I'm gonna give you a second chance to become my son-in-law. And see, another thing, that's just like Jesus. Jesus is a high rank. But Jesus, remember, he was washing the disciples' feet and all that. Jesus never wants to show off his high rank. He always did. Never felt like he was more than his disciples. He showed them by washing their feet and stuff. And see, we see that's how David is. David still feel like he not worthy to be the king's son-in-law. So Saul has sent his attendant, to speak to David in private, stating the order from Saul, and David still saying, I'm a poor man, somebody like me, who am I, to be the king's son-in-law, so he's still, David still thinking he a poor, person, he don't think he worthy enough, and you remember Saul was the same way when he first came in the picture. So David think he not worthy enough, to be the king son-in-law. He said somebody like me, I'm a poor man. So Saul's plan was to have David to fall by the hands of the Philistines. So Saul's plan is an evil plan. But his evil plan, he had to get through God. So Saul's servant had told David there will be no price. Because see, the first time he tried to pay David, I'll pay you, for my daughter, and see, down the line, they're going to make his daughter Monica, they're going to make her mad with David, because with her dad, because he want to treat them like he a pimp or something. I pay my daughters, you take my daughters. You take the first one down. The second is with love. He said it would be no price, no bribery. Now see, David didn't want no money from Saul, for his daughter. No, there will be no price and take revenge on his enemies. He said, just take revenge on my enemies. I will not give you no money, because David didn't want no money. So David was pleased to become the king's son-in-law. There's love, and he did not want a price for his wife. So now he took the price off the tag. He said, all I want you to do is fight my enemies, and then you can have my daughter. So David took his men with him, and took his men with him, out and killed 200 Philistines and brought back their foreskin. Now he never thought David was gonna come back with all that. He gave him that order. But he keep on giving orders, thinking David gonna fail. So David brought back everything he said he wanted. So David might become the king's son-in-law, and then Saul give his daughter Monica in marriage to David. So David was very successful in everything, and Saul was sending him out, kept on sending him out on battles. And Saul became still more afraid of him, because he kept on sending him out on Saul, thinking he was going to get killed, and David keep on coming back. Send him out on another battle, David keep coming back. He got tired of seeing David keep on being alive, keep on standing. What can I do? I keep on sending him out on battles. He keep on coming back alive. That is God doing. That is God is in the mix. No matter how you keep on trying to send David out there to be killed, God gonna have him to keep on being alive, keep on standing, keep on coming back, making Saul mad. So he kept on, he remained his enemies. Saul remained David's enemy for the rest of Saul's life, because David outlived Saul. So that's why, God already know the end. God be knowing the end. God will do the end before the beginning of his story. So that's why he never made Saul, sons to be the next king. Most likely when the father's gone, that the son take them in, but not in this case. God already knew what the end of the story was gonna be. So that's why he picked someone else. When Saul had disobeyed God, that ruled out everybody else in his family. So Saul had still become afraid of David. So the Philistines continue on battle, with David. David met with more success. More they came at David, more success David had. So then the rest of Saul's officers, so David became well known. Remember, he kept telling them that I'm not well known. I'm a poor man. Why you want me? He didn't feel worthy, to be the king's son-in-law. So now he is well known. His name is getting all over. So David's success, so Saul had a plan. He asked a huge bride price at the beginning for his daughters. Hanged in marriage. 100 Philistine foreskin. So foreskin mean nothing to Saul. So Saul then was to see that David died. His plan was to see. He kept sending them out there on battle. David kept coming back. So he would just start being afraid of David. I keep sending you out there on a horrible, you just got 1,000 men, but they have 2, 3, 10,000 coming against you. You may tell me you keep on coming back alive, So why trying to acquire them? If David can see behind, Saul's plot, it doesn't seem to faze or disturb him. If David did saw the plot that Saul was doing, it didn't faze him. He still, whatever order he kept on sitting on David kept on being successful and coming right back whatever he had ordered David to do. So with no price, David is pleased, to become the king's son-in-law. David is mighty in God's eyes. And see, a lot of times you don't have to be mighty in nobody else's eyes. What all matter, is you mighty in God's eyes sight. If God pleased with you, so David already know. See, Saul didn't even know right now, that David's anointed. David in training right now, and he doing good. David already know he mighty in God's eyesight, and he know that God, God is in the mix, and he know God is right there help fighting his battle for him. Now he can't earn the right. Now he earns the right to be a part of the royalty family. Saul plan fair. The devil plan gonna always fail when God is in the mix. God got in the mix of that. See, God already know the evil plans that Saul kept on in mind. He just standing there looking at them. I could just pin you on the wall. I could just take this and some of that. That's what he just kept on doing. And God can hear every plot that Saul kept on coming up with for David. And David, God got in the mix of that. No matter how Saul kept on sending them out there, God had David to be successful and kept coming back alive. So it doesn't matter. Saul's plan had failed. David didn't die, but returned with 200 foreskin, becoming even greater hero. The word was all over, about David. So he proved again, that God was in the mix. God was in the mix, standing with David. God get the glory in himself. And see, David let them know. David said he proved again, that God was in the mix, standing by David's side. Saul planned with order to harm him and see him die. But God uses that to accomplish his ultimate purpose. See, God can always turn things around and use things for his glory. He will not let the devil glow over David. He made sure that David was successful, that everything that Saul kept on sending him out there with. God got in the mix of that. God got in the mix, and he allowed David to be successful in everything that Saul was throwing at him. So David had won. Everything that Saul was coming against him. Saul kept coming up with a plan, to harm David. Kept on coming with a plan, to have David die in the mix of that war. But then, David kept on coming back alive. He go 100 foreskin that you asked for. And Saul looking like, I really expected you to bring that back. I expected you to be laying down on the ground dead somewhere. But not when God was in the mix. So then too, in the mix, and see, a lot of time, God can still work miracles in the mix of your chaos. In the mix of all that chaos that Saul kept on doing, David gained a wife. He gained a wife in the mix of that chaos. And 3, he had become well known. Remember, he kept on saying, I'm not well known. I'm poor. Who gonna think of me? Nah, he is well known in that land and everywhere. Everyone talk about how David, first of how David had took that giant down. How David keep on winning over Saul. So his name, David won. He gained a wife in the mix of the stone, and he also become to be well known, and he also give God the glory in the mix of that stone, because he already stated that he proved again that God was in the mix. He know that God was by his side. He know that God was helping him win and being successful in everything that Saul kept on sending him out there with. So we see that God is being faithful to David and being by his side. He anointed David, for a purpose on his life. And he gonna make sure that Saul and no one else gonna take him out before he start his mission. So every time Saul keep on coming against him, God gonna be in the mix. Because God got a plan and a purpose on David's life. And God gonna be faithful to David all the way until he step into his purpose. So we see that no matter how the devil, keep on trying to do a plan, a plot, to harm and have you dead. We see that God gonna always take that, how the devil gonna always wants to harm you, but God gonna always turn that around for your good. You know, he made sure that David was very successful in everything that he done. You know, David had won. David had gained him a wife. You know, and also David was well known. You know, and see, God can always make goodness